Jaya Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnaprasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashitade Sadarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna,
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Narasimhadev ki, Prahlad Maharaj ki, Prabhupada ki. Jai. I have blocked nose and it's different voice.
The Lord sees the endeavor. One step, I got a song for you. 10 steps towards you. I got a song for you. Okay.
start the lecture at 8 o'clock here. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Shri Radhe Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Prabhupada 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 Shira Prabhupada Shri Radha Gokulananda Bhagavan ki Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Shri Gauranitai ki Jai. This Bhagavad Gita is in French. It's in French. I can take it from my phone. It's okay. Yeah. Ashley book, yeah. Yeah, he will try and find one now. Oh, over there? Okay. I think he's getting one, it's okay. That's the one we're looking for. Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you, Prabhu. Ashish Prabhu, we have found a book. Yeah, reception. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, text 22. Please repeat after me. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga. Dukkha yonaya evate. Dukkha yonaya evate. Dukkha yonaya evate. Adyantavanta konteya. Adyantavanta konteya. Adyantavanta konteya. Nateshu ramate buddha. Nateshu ramate buddha. Nateshu ramate buddha. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga. Dukkha yonaya evate. Adyantavanta konteya. Nateshu ramate buddha. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga. 22. Dukkha yonaya evate. Adyantavanta konteya. Nateshu ramate buddha. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga. Dukkha yonaya evate. Adyantavanta konteya. Nateshu ramate buddha. Word for word. Ye, those. He, certainly. Samsparsha, ja, by contact with the material senses. Bhoga, enjoyments. Dukkha, distress. Yonaya, sources of. Eva, certainly. Te, they are. Adi, beginning. Anta, end. Vanta, subject to. Konteya, O son of Kunti. Na, never. Teshu, in those. Ramate, takes delight. Buddha, the intelligent person. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhicharananda Vrindam Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Purport. Material sense pleasures are due to the contact of the material senses, which are all temporary, because the body itself is temporary. A liberated soul is not interested in anything which is temporary. Knowing well the joys of transcendental pleasures, How can a liberated soul agree to enjoy false pleasure? In the Padma Puran, it is said, Ramante yogino nante satyanande chidatmani iti rama padena shao param brahma vidiyate. The mystics derive unlimited transcendental pleasures from the Absolute Truth, and therefore the Supreme Absolute Truth, the personality of Godhead, is also known as Ram. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, also 5.5.1, it is said, Nayam deho deha bhajam niriloke kashtan kaman arhate vid bhujam ye tapo divyam putraka yena satvang shuddhyed yasmad brahma sokyam tvanantam. My dear sons, there is no reason to labor very hard for sense pleasure while in this human form of life. Such pleasures are available to the stool eaters, hogs. Rather, you should undergo penances in this life by which your existence will be purified, and as a result, you will be able to enjoy unlimited transcendental bliss. Therefore, those who are true yogis or learned transcendentalists are not attracted by sense pleasures, which are the causes of continuous material existence. The more one is addicted to material pleasures, the more he is entrapped by material miseries. Om Jnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Svapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parichana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhishcha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. There was a great rich man named Duni Chand, and he was very proud of his money. And this is in the times of Guru Nanak. And Duni Chand, he was very wealthy, but the biggest flaw he had was he was very miserly. He didn't like to spend his money. He didn't like to spend his money on anyone. So one day he heard that Guru Nanak was inside his country. Guru Nanak was going about, and he decided to see Guru Nanak. So Guru Nanak accepted the servant's request for him to see Duni Chand, and Guru Nanak met Duni Chand. Guru Nanak first saw this big palace and lots of flags outside this palace. And Guru Nanak asked Duni Chand, why are there so many flags outside your palace? And Duni Chand says, every time I save 1,000 rupees, I buy a new flag, and I set a new flag up. So you can see I'm a millionaire. Duni Chand is very proud. So they have they have a feast together, and Guru Nanak glorifies him. You're very, very wealthy. You have a lot of fame, and everyone likes you. You're the big man in the country. And there's gratitude from Duni Chand also. He's saying, thank you, I am this big person. And then Guru Nanak asks him to hold a needle. He gives Duni Chand a needle. And he asks Duni Chand that in his next life, after Guru Nanak's next life, he wants to meet Duni Chand in his next life and get that needle back. This means that Duni Chand's next life, he will try and give the needle that he has to Guru Nanak. So Duni Chand was like, okay, no problem. So then he went to rest, and he couldn't sleep because he was thinking, how can I take this needle with me to my next life to give to Guru Nanak? So the next day he comes to Guru Nanak and he tells, I couldn't sleep last night. And Guru Nanak said, why? He said, I can't take this needle, to my next life and give it to you. That's very contradictory. I don't know how to do that. And Guru Nanak says, then how can you take all these flags? What will you do with all these flags? So then he understood, and Duni Chand became a philanthropist after that, and he started helping out and sharing his wealth with everyone. So that's just a nice story I wanted to share, just showing the temporality of material gain. And before I go further, I'd like to ask for your blessings, Srinivas Prabhu, seniors online, and devotees here. This text is really nice. It's an important text in Bhakti Shastri, so I just require your blessings to say something of value and of something beneficial and pleasing to the Vaishnavas. So in this part of Bhagavad Gita, Arjun first asked in the beginning of chapter 5, what is better, work or renunciation? So there's a lot of questions going on from Arjun to Krishna. And now Krishna is saying, or stating what the behavior and the vision of a liberated person is. So he's discussed the behavior of a liberated person with many good devotee qualities. And now he is basically, in essence, saying, put those two things together, work and renunciation. So one should work in a renunciated spirit. So how do we do this? Material world pleasures is stated in the purport. It is due to contact with the senses. Material pleasures are arising from the body. Senses, or we can say the body, means senses. Everything you see in your body is a combination of different senses. Not just five senses, not just five working senses. The scientists are coming up with temperature senses, pain recepting senses, all different senses. So the body is just full of senses. And Srila Prabhupada says, anything you do for the senses, anything you do for the body is therefore sense gratification, and therefore it's material. And since matter is temporary, therefore we find that material sense pleasures are temporary. So this is the point that Srila Prabhupada is making. And since material sense pleasures are temporary, we often lament when we lose that material sense pleasure, lasting for only short 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. There's three things in the material world: hankering, anxiety, and lamentation. Mainly, hankering for enjoyment, anxiety to keep that enjoyment, anxiety to keep that money you've just accumulated. And then when the money goes, you lament. So you can apply these three principles: hankering, you want something, and then fear to keep it, and then lamentation when it is taken away from us, especially at death. So this is the situation we're living in. There are four major qualities of material sense pleasures. It's futile, means it's pointless, it's useless to go for something of sense pleasure because it is temporary. So futile is the first quality, and temporary is the second quality. And even if it lasts 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you have a gulab jamun, or you have an ecstatic, cry, reading like a karmic book, it's very, very short. And even though it's so short, it's unsubstantial, means that it only fills your happiness quota a little bit. It's not substantial. It's not a lot of enjoyment. And even if you do get that little bit enjoyment for this much time, there's a duality of distress. Like distress can come at any time. So the first one is futile. Second quality is temporary. Third quality is insubstantial. And the fourth quality is duality. This is a mundane rasa. When we don't have Krishna in our vision anymore, that kind of, because we are anandamaya bhyasa, we're looking for enjoyment, it's perverted to the material world, and therefore we meet with these four kinds of distresses. These four distresses in the purport, it says, "My dear sons, there is no reason to labor very hard for sense pleasures, while in this human form of life, such pleasures are available even to the stool eaters." So the material pleasures that we want even in our life, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, these are very nice activities to the materialists. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Srila Prabhupada says the basis of the material world is sex life. But these four kind of enjoyments are even available in the animal life. The hog is eating not just his own stool, other people's stool. He's not having sex with his wife, he's having sex with his relatives. He's oversleeping. So these activities are even available in the lower species. So what is the advancement if we are so happy in our life due to eating, sleeping, mating, and defending? Even the hogs, actually, Srila Prabhupada says they're even more happier than we could ever be, because there's no restriction. But in the material world with human beings, there's restriction. Eat this much, sleep this much, have sex this much, defend this much. Otherwise it's immoral. But the animals are just going for it. The monkeys, you see, they're just going for it 24/7. The bear is sleeping, hibernating, so long. And the possum, he's defending, he's farting all the time, defending, he's having a great time. But these sense pleasures are there in the animals, so what is the benefit if we, what is a so-called qualification if we have such a happy life? So if one is hungry, then happiness for him is eating. So then if eating is happiness, then why don't we eat all day long? If we want to be happy all day long, why don't we eat all day long? Because if you have one gulab jamun, you may be satisfied, but if you have 5, 6, okay, then you say, okay, no, that's too much for me. The same source of happiness becomes the same source of distress. I like gulab jamuns, but I may have like 20 or 30, I can do that. What is it? We can say sitting is happiness. When we've been standing so long in the train in Mumbai, for example, you're standing and you have to hold a rail, and there's no spaces to sit down. Then for you, sitting is happiness. But in the flight, 24 hours flight, is sitting happiness? No. No, then it's lying down. And then for lying down, if lying down was happiness, but what about the person who's stuck in bed and he's asking the doctor in the hospital, when am I going to stand up? When am I going to walk again? So is lying down happiness? No. It's a cessation of your suffering, which is happiness. My spiritual master says there's sukh, and then there's ananda. And sukh is a cessation of suffering, but ananda is the complete opposite of suffering. There's a cessation, and then there's a complete opposite. There's a complete duality. So in this connection, we can say we're searching for happiness. And if someone is suffering, we can safely say he's not intelligent. Because if you have a very sharp intelligence, you'll be happy. If a person is suffering, you can say, okay, he hasn't made very good choices in his life. He has a low intelligence because I can see he's suffering. He's gone to prison. He's suffering from some sort of disease. So intelligence means happiness. Happiness means you have high intelligence. And if you're going to suffer for greater happiness, you're even more intelligent. Like the person at work who tolerates the boss's complaints again and again. Why? Because he's getting a salary. So the higher intelligence you have, you can also tolerate more suffering. There's a example of, I think there's an advert for Haribos. And these children are given, a table to sit on, and they're given one Haribo. And they say, okay, you can have this now, and you won't get any more Haribos. But if you wait 5 minutes, I'll give you 2. So then the intelligent kid, he waits. And it's all recorded, it's on YouTube, he waits. And the unintelligent kid, he, because of sense pleasures, due to contact with material senses, he eats the Haribo. But the person, or the child who's intelligent, he knows, okay, if I wait just 5 minutes, I'll get more happiness, potentially. And then that kid again, after 5 minutes, he said, okay, if you wait 10 more minutes, you'll get 5 more Haribos. And in this way, the child is tested. How much he is eager to take austerity for his happiness, which is greater in the future. So intelligence, you could say the higher intelligence you have is austerity for a greater happiness. Austerity is discipline. Austerity is accepting difficulties for a greater cause. So that's mentioned in the purport also. One should undergo penances in this life for which your existence will be purified. So austerity is intelligence because austerity means mode of goodness. It means that poison in the beginning for a greater nectar at the end, rather than a little bit of nectar at first and a great poison at the end. For example, intoxication. A little bit of nectar at first and a great hangover in the next day. But chanting Hare Krishna, one of the greatest austerities, which is the closest platform for a conditioned soul to practice Krishna Prem, so much austerity and a great result. So intelligence means also, because the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so sublime and easy to chant, intelligence means small endeavor, huge award. So that's where you see he's intelligent. Knowledge also means intelligence. Intelligence, or you can say happiness, is associated with knowledge. When you find an answer in class and maybe the teacher asks, do you know this? And you're the only student who raises his hands and you get the answer correct and you're like, yes! So happiness can also come from knowledge. And so therefore opposite of that is unhappiness can come from ignorance. The reason we're not happy is because we are ignorant. So there's 5 levels of happiness also. There's physical happiness, which we can say the children feel, the animals feel. Then there's mental and intellectual happiness also. Physical happiness, you could say eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Then mental happiness. Maybe you do GCSE, you're practicing for your GCSEs, and because you're engaged in that sort of higher happiness, you reject eating your breakfast. You reject sleeping sometimes, because you're engaging in a higher sense of happiness. And then there's a level of emotional happiness, where you're getting it from relationships. So much so that you forget your mental happiness, your intellectual happiness, and your physical happiness. They also go out the window. Because you've engaged in a higher sense of happiness, emotional. And then after emotional, is spiritual. But this kind of spiritual is more like yoga. It's the initial spiritual aspect that even relieves you from emotional, mental, intellectual, and physical. It's more empowering, it's more tasty to have that kind of happiness. And then there's full expression of spiritual. That means, fully realized Krishna consciousness, self-realization. And that's the highest level of happiness. So therefore we see in the Bhagavad Gita, we see in our Shastras, there are pure devotees who are going without eating, sleeping, mating, defending, who are going without jnana yoga, karma yoga, who are going without relationships of this material world, who are going without mental, intellectual happiness. So we can also see that those situated on the lower platforms, they don't have experience of the higher platforms. But those situated on the higher platforms, they do have experience of the lower platforms. And that's why we see devotees are fully renounced to the material world, because they're experiencing a higher sense of pleasure. They're experiencing a high sense of happiness, a sense of satisfaction that not physical, not mental, not intellectual, not even initial spiritual can satisfy with practicing Krishna consciousness. So if we claim to be intelligent, then we should be on the highest. We should be on the highest. We shouldn't be stuck up on the lowest kind of physical, mental, emotional. If we claim to be intelligent. We know, therefore, in the purport it says, the wise man therefore engages in eternal happiness. Eternal happiness means chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Because eternal means only that thing which can make us go back to Godhead and taste the rasa with Krishna in full eternal, full knowledge, full blissful life. No effort, but maximum benefit. The transcendentalists, Ramante Yoginonante, they're feeling extreme pleasure. So why would they fall prey to pleasures of this material world? It can be compared to asking one of us, would you like to enjoy in prison? When we practice devotional service, we're basically on the liberated platform or practicing to be liberated. So it's like asking one of us, would you like to enjoy in prison? Before I did come to Krishna consciousness, I was so lazy with my life. I was thinking, how great would it be to live in prison, get food sent to me every day, and just relax. Maybe they'll allow me to watch a movie here and there, and I have my own space. Chill out. I was thinking that's a great thing. Maybe they can give me a job. I'll be like a janitor. I was like, that's a simple life. Thankfully, I didn't go there. But it's like asking one of us, okay, would you like to enjoy in prison? Here's a gold chain. Here's a platinum chain. Here, enjoy this chain. But it's still a chain. So how can you tell a liberated person to try and enjoy sense pleasure? They know what it is like to be outside of the prison. So therefore, why would they go back into the prison and enjoy that kind of association? Param drishtva na nivartante. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste for sense objects remains, but seizing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. Param drishtva na nivartante. So from this translation and purport, we can see and we can take that when a transcendentalist experiences the highest sort of pleasure, Krishna consciousness, devotional service, love for Srila Prabhupada, then why would he even try to taste material mundane rasa again after that? Therefore, it's very, very difficult to see devotees going back into the material world, but it's very, very easy to see materialists coming into Krishna consciousness. We can take from this also that we can do more austerity in our Krishna consciousness. In this way, we can actually surpass sex desire. We can actually practice surpassing sex desire, even when we are eating. Vacho vegam manasakrodha vegam jiva vegam adarpashta vegam etan veganya vishaheta diraha sarvam apimam pritavim shishyat. A sober person tolerates the urges to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals. Tongue, belly, then genitals. If you control the tongue, you can control your genitals. So actually we can practice controlling our genitals just by what we eat, how much we eat, how opulent we eat, when we eat, in what consciousness we eat. We can control sex life. So the more austerity we do with our mouth, how much we're talking Krishna Katha, then our sex life will slowly, but fully, one day, firmly be eradicated. And not only that, but also dedicating ourselves to the chanting of the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And these two combinations will ensure us success in our spiritual life. Thank you very much. Apologies for any mistakes. Okay. Any questions? Otherwise we can end here. Yes, a good question by Harika Mataji. She's asking, since Krishna is also Mahaprasadam, should we reject it? How should we take it? In what consciousness should we take it to make sure that we are, or even if we should apply Vachavegam verse to taking Mahaprasadam, correct? Mm. 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 Yes, a good question. I mean, my small reflection, my small realization, and then we can open it up if other devotees have some answers. If we know our weakness, also, we can go from there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, even eating, I think even in Bhakti Shastra, we just learned that going to someone's house to take opulent Mahaprasadam, or opulent prasadam, is a sort of, it's a nectar of instruction. It's something that's unfavorable for our Krishna consciousness. Taking too much opulent prasadam, eating not at regulated times, inviting someone to our house to cook for us, for our opulent prasadam, and also overeating prasadam in general. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even in the verse purport of Nectar Instruction, Srila Prabhupada says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, even when it comes to prasadam, he says, go easy. Then also my spiritual master was asked the same question. He's on his Bhakti Chara Swami Maharaj. He said, okay, you have to see the level that you're on, and even if you can't control the urge to take Mahaprasadam, slowly in time, because it is Krishna, you will be purified. If you can't control it. So actually it all comes from seeing where we are and what consciousness we're taking it in. If we're taking it in an enjoyment mentality and like planning it, like when that Mahaprasad comes out, I'm just gonna take the sweet rice. Or when that Mahaprasadam comes out, I'm just gonna take that lovely green sabji and nothing else. Because actually I don't really like everything else, you know. I'm just gonna take the milk, something like that. So there's, you can see from your own consciousness, if that happens, especially in my life, that we're eating with caution, we're eating with taste and distaste. And therefore it's an offense. I don't like Krishna's feet, but I like his legs. I don't like Krishna's arms, but I like his face. I reject this part of the Vedas, I accept this part of the Vedas. Like this. So then we can say, okay, this is the mood I have, so let me do the opposite. Or let me combine all the Mahaprasad together and honor a little bit. That's a story in Mahabharata. Draupadi makes an offense and a Brahmana comes and his usual way of taking and honoring prasad, even Shiva Maharaj, he makes a combination of all the Mahaprasad, then hands that combination out, instead of us seeing, okay, this is salty, this is sweet, I'm going to take more of this. And therefore we should say, okay, fine, if I can't control it, no problem, because it is Krishna Prasadam, and at the end of the day, Mahaprasadam will purify the senses just by taking it. Even if we are engaging in sense pleasure while taking Mahaprasadam, which is a huge statement for me to say, it will be purified one day. It also depends on how eager we are to take austerity. I will reject this because actually when I do this activity, it makes me think less of Krishna, more for myself. So I think Narottam Das Thakur, he was instructed by Lord Chaitanya, and even he himself felt that even when I take opulent Mahaprasadam, my mind goes crazy. And so he actually stopped eating all opulent prasadam. Because he knew his level, he said, okay, my mind is crazy. But for other devotees, their mind is ecstatic. You know? So we have to see, okay, what level am I on? And maybe take some advice from Shiksha Guru. And if we eat at regulated times, if someone gives us, it's a good question, if someone gives us also, it means that we didn't do it out of our desire to take that Mahaprasadam. Radha Shakti Mataji comes and she says, please, I've been thinking about you, please take this. Out of love and out of the knowledge that she's giving us love, we can accept it, and it will be less sense gratification. But when it's irregular, when we're serving ourselves instead of a person on the other side of the table serving us, we can start to enjoy our senses more than thinking about Krishna's senses. Yeah, that's actually a really good point, that while you're enjoying, you meditate on Krishna. And meditating on Krishna may even purify it faster. That's a really nice point. Thank you. Okay. Jai. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.